Hello. Today the session is on economic development. But before I proceed on saying about what is economic development and discuss about it, first let me know whether you people know the difference or whether you think that economic growth and economic development are one and the same thing or not. If you think it is one and the same thing, then you are wrong. There is a huge difference between economic growth and economic development. Firstly, economic growth usually means the growth in the production of an economy. That means growth in the GDP and per capita income and other economic parameters. GNP, NNP, everything. Real GDP, real per capita income. So that is basically economic growth, when there is a growth in it. But when we talk of economic development, it is economic growth along with other factors. And these factors are literacy, improvement in literacy, better health system, child mortality rate, equality, regional balance, infrastructure, etc. So this is the basic difference between economic growth and economic development. So economic growth, so as the country develops, we have better health of the people. Remember about 100 years back, what was the health condition of the people of India? And today, there's a lot of difference. Our life expectancy has improved. Remember, I think about many years back, our retirement age was 55. It had gone up to 60. Now we are thinking of bringing it up to 62 years. Why? Because 55 was life expectancy at that point of time. बुढ़ा हो जाते थे हम लोग 55 के बाद. और हम अब today, even at the age of 65, we think we are still young. It is because of the health conditions. It is improved. We are very active even at the age of 65, 70. So that comes with the development. It means it is education for all. 100 years back, 50 years back, education for limited people only the affluent, people who had money, but not people who are poor or downtrodden. Now education for all. Reduction in inequality in the sections of people. See, this reduction in inequality. Government is taking all the steps to improve the literacy rate of the downtrodden people and of the different regions. There were many states in India which were very, very backward, very, very backward. We used to get only laborers from those states. Now, they have improved. There is a lot of industrialization, a lot of development, infrastructural development. So there is a difference. It is improving as days pass by. Reduction in infant mortality, IMR. Access to drinking water for all. Many years back, where from we used to get water? Tube well, Kua, municipalities, we never used to get water. Now we are getting water from the municipality, from the Gram Panchayats. It is the job of the government to supply potable water, drinking water. That is where we are getting it now. This comes under development. Earlier we did not have this. Now we are getting it. But if we compare it to the developed Western countries, we are way, way behind. So we need more growth and more development if we have to come up to their standards. By the time we come up to their standards, they will also have improved. By this time, they will have improved more. So we have to have a faster growth. Now just let me tell you one thing. Whether development comes first or the growth comes first. The growth should come first. Why? Why the growth should come first? Remember when we got our independence? What was the economic state of India? We were very poor. Some of the people or some of the business communities, they were doing business, but generally it was a trading business. Tertiary business was absolutely nil. Manufacturing was there, but not to that extent. So, the Indian government laid stress, all the plans were laying stress on the fact of growth of industrialization. See, if you see all the plans, we'll come to that. Well, when we discuss planning, we'll come to that. We'll discuss it in great details. But I'm just telling you it in one or two sentences that it was the government's endeavor to improve industrialization. So with industrialization, what happens? Not many people will get money. They will not get rich. But some people will get rich. The business community will get rich. The people working in the offices, they will get rich. What will happen? When they get rich, they will have to pay tax. When they pay tax, the government earns. It is their income. It is not earning. It is their income. Inflow. And if they have more inflow, the government has, if they have got more budget, they can spend money. The expenditure is also increasing. So initially, what was the government doing? If you see all the plans, it was all infrastructural. They were stressing more on infrastructural development. So what happens? They were stressing more on infrastructural development so that the business improves. So as and when the business started improving, as more and more money was inflowing, coming into the exchequer of the government, they were able to spend more. As they spend more, then started coming in better education, better schools, better roads, better health system. Education comes, better drinking facilities, potable water. People used to drink water from where? From the ponds, from the tube wells. But now we have got excess people, we are getting water inside our house, from the municipality, from the panchayat, from the corporation. This is called improvement. This is development. And that is the reason why the growth comes first and then comes development. Now what happens? So when the development comes, when there is a development in the economy, it brings about certain structural changes in the economy. What are these structural changes? There will be change in the economy. There will be massive structural changes in the economy when the development comes forth, when the development starts. First thing is changing occupational structure. What do you mean by changing occupational structure? It means labor from the primary sector, that is the agricultural sector, it moves from the primary sector or the agricultural sector to manufacturing or the tertiary sector, that is the services sector. Why? Because that is a place where people can earn more money. So there will be a change. There will be an occupational change. People will be running off, coming to the cities more, towns more. Villages will be, there will be fewer people left in the villages. Okay. Now there is another structural change. There will be a structural change in the national income. What do you mean by the structural change in national income? Remember, at the time after, just right after independence, a major chunk of our income, GDP, was coming from primary sector, that is agricultural sector. Now that has changed. The major chunks comes from where? Manufacturing and the tertiary, services sector. As we develop more, it will move on to services sector. So that is a structural change. You see, we will discuss when we talk about GDP. We will discuss in great length when we talk about when we discuss GDP. So you will find, so there is a growth in the GDP, but at the same time the difference between the GDP, I mean like the structural changes in the national income, that is contribution of the secondary and the tertiary, is more. Now there is a third change, structural change, that is industrial production. At the time of independence, what was happening? We didn't have that many industries. Now it has improved. We have many industries of different varieties. But at the initial stage, most of our manufacturing units were labor intensive. Now it is mechanized. We have modernized. We have modernized. There is a technological advancement. Then you people will say, it was labor intensive earlier, now we have become more modernized. So people are not getting jobs. Yes, there are many questions will be raised in as far as this is concerned. People are not getting jobs because of modernization, because of advancement in technologies. But that is not so. What were our demands 70 years from today, 70 years prior from today? What were our demands? What were our needs? 2 shirts, 2 pants, 2 saris, 3 saris, 4 saris, and 2 for house, 2 for school, and 2 for going out. That's all. Today, how many dresses we have? One almirah full of dresses. Our demands. Shoes. 1 chappal for house, 1 chappal for going out, and 1 shoes for going to the school. Now, we have so many chappals, shoes, varieties. We used to eat home cooked food. Now, we go to the restaurants quite often. Generally, we used to stay at home, or we used to go and visit our relatives. Now, we go on a tour, expedition. We spend money there, isn't it? Sir, our demands have changed. We have more demands now. And as there is more demand, there will be more manufacturing units. So, there will be no dearth of jobs. As there is improvement in the economy, if there is a development in the economy, so there will be no dearth for jobs. There will be ample jobs. Only you have to be properly skilled to get that job. That is important. You have to be properly skilled and you have to work hard to get a job. You have to study. That is important. Studying. Job will not come to you just like that. You'll have to study. Okay. Second point, third point was changing structure of industrial production. Fourth point, changing structure of foreign trade. What do you mean by changing structure of foreign trade? The time of independence, what was the composition of our exports and what was the composition of our imports? We were exporting raw materials, generally raw materials for the industries of advanced countries. We didn't have the technology to utilize them. And we used to import capital goods. Now, it has changed. Pharmacy is one of our important export items. We are selling dress materials. We are sending dress materials. Our fashion designers are world famous. We are exporting fashions, garments, and our automobile industries. It is also one of the leading. Our industrial goods we are exporting. We are even exporting capital goods. And today we are thinking of exporting defense equipments. We are sending it. We are exporting it. So it has changed. So this is basically a changing structure in the foreign trade. From raw material, from agricultural side to manufacturing and tertiary. People are coming here to visit. Tourism industry has developed. What was tourism industry like 50, 60 years back? And what it is today? People are coming to India. So there's so much, there's a structural change which comes with the economic development. And finally, technological progress and innovation, we all know. Because without this, the other things cannot happen. So that is very, very important. Okay. And now there is one more thing about the technological progress and innovations. See, we find that since our GDP and GNP is increasing and the quantum is quite high, we find that there is an increasing proportion of GNP which is being devoted to research and development. The more we devote our resources towards research and development, what will happen? There will be development in technological progress, technological factors, and there will be innovations. That is why. And it doesn't happen in one day. It is a slow process. It takes a lot of time, a lot of endeavor from the people, from the government. It's just to have good intentions. We should have intentions should be positive, and then there can be growth. Not just growth, development. That is the word, development. Okay. Now let us say, what are the factors affecting economic development? What are the main economic? There are two types of factors which affect economic development. Firstly, it is economic factors, and the next is non-economic factors. Economic factor number one, capital formation. What do you mean by capital formation? For development, for growth, what do we need? For industrialization, for infrastructural development, what do we need? We need resources. Where from we will get the resources? Just the tax. Business will flourish, they pay tax, it goes to the government, and then government does. Where will the government spend the money? It will spend on the infrastructural developments. And it will spend that money on what? On the public sector undertakings, PSUs, for economic development, for the growth of industries. But what about the private sector? How will they get it? So capital formation means what in that case? That means we have to save. If I save more, then what do? I save it in the bank. And bank will utilize that money to give loans to the manufacturing unit, business community, so that the business develops. But that means what? Then I will keep on saving, I don't spend. No. We are going to save a certain amount of money, otherwise the economy will not get developed. There will not be any demand for the goods and services. So we will have to spend money and at the same time save. We are not saving most of our money in the banks, are we? We are parking our money, our excess money, in insurance companies, in mutual funds, and in the stock market. We are earning a lot of money from there, from the mutual funds, from the stock market. And that money is being utilized by the business community for advancement or for expanding their business. So capital formation is required. When does it come? It comes with the growth. If there is a growth, it comes gradually. It cannot happen overnight. See, it took such a long time to come. And the government was planning. You see our plans, you'll find it out. You go through the plans in details, in depth, you'll find out what was the government plans, what was the intentions. See where we are today. We have improved so much. Next point, marketable surplus of agriculture. Why do you mean marketable surplus of agriculture? Why do we need it? As an economy develops, what happens? Labor from agricultural sector, they will move to manufacturing and the tertiary sector. When that happens, there will be shortage of labor in agriculture sector. So what happens? There will be scarcity of food supply in the economy. More people will be shifting to the towns and cities, but they need food to survive. And if there is less labor in the rural sector, where from they will get there will be less production of food grains. So productivity, agricultural productivity has to be increased. And this has happened in India. See, green revolution, blue revolution, white revolution, all the revolutions. This has brought about a change. We have got a lot of food grains, we have got stocks, buffer stocks. So productivity has to be increased. And how productivity can be increased? Research and development. So government is pouring in a lot of money on research and development, especially agricultural research and development. So this also brings, these are the economic factors in economic development. Third point, conditions in foreign trade. See, conditions in foreign trade. That means, see, the developed countries, they were already developed, they were doing international trade, foreign trade, and they have a big hold on the foreign trade because their goods and materials, their products are better, highly advanced, highly sophisticated. So to compete with that, to get a position in a foreign trade, to capture the market in foreign trade. How do we do it? So we have to improve our technology to advance them. So our qualities are improved, are better than them. See? This is nothing new. When you see the newspaper, when you read the newspapers, you find it is all there. You see how much our export has increased. What was our foreign exchange reserve earlier? What is our quantum of foreign exchange reserve now? Now this another economic factor that in economic development, and that is economic system. What do you mean by the economic system? It is whether to have a capitalist type of a system or to have a socialist type of a system. So the country has to decide what kind of a system that we need for our development. And we Indians, we have taken a decision that it will not be pure capitalist, neither it will be pure socialist. It will be a mixed economy. And see where we are. And there's one more thing, let me tell you. There is no such thing as capitalist economy anywhere in the world or a socialist economy anywhere in the world. It is mixed economy throughout. Whether it is USA or UK or the European countries, even China. They say we are socialist, but basically they are mixed. So all the countries are mixed. Unless you have a mixed economy, you cannot develop. Because the government has to play a very vital role in economic development. It will not be done by the private sectors. Why will they build roads? Why will they build dams? It is the government's job. Electrification, giving potable water. It is government's job. Private sector will not do it. So, it is generally mixed economy throughout. Now, let us talk about non-economic factors in the economic development. Firstly, it is human resources. Yes, human resources is very vital. Why? Because it is a human people only who are going to work, who are going to develop. If we are sickly, if we are unhealthy, if we don't have any skills, then what? What will be the contribution to the economic development? A big zero. So the government has to play a very, very vital role to develop the human resources. That means you have understood it, this point. And then there is a technical knowledge. Yes, technical. If there is a technical knowledge, if there is an improvement, if there is an R&D, then what? It brings about a change. If you have more knowledge, you are more confident in working. So that raises the productivity level. Third point, there should be political freedom. Before independence, what was our growth rate? You see the plannings? And what is the growth rate now? What was the GDP then? What was the GDP now? What was the per capita income then? What is the per capita income now? I am not talking in absolute terms. Let us talk about it in real terms also. That is also has improved. So, political freedom is essential. Because earlier what was happening, we were under the British rule, and what they were doing is they took the raw materials from our country to supply it to their industries. And then they used to sell the industrial goods back to us at a very, very high price. So we need political freedom. And then what is the fourth point? That is corruption. That needs to be reduced. If the corruption increases, development will not be there, which we all know. I don't have to explain this in details. We all know, we all realize corruption has to be reduced to improve the development, enhance development actually. And then there is a final thing That is the desire to develop. The level of growth consciousness is low. If the country which has got level of growth consciousness low, the general mass of the people have accepted poverty as their fate, then there is very little scope for development. You cannot think ki a small a clerk's job is sufficient for me. I am happy with a clerk's job. No. Everything, ambition should be high. The desire should be high. But for that you have to work. Ambition is high, I want to be an officer, I want to be, but for that I will not work. It cannot happen. You will have to work. Give a lot of time to this. So, this is it, and we'll have a next class, next session.